Hi, this is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at my currently inked pens. Now, I've got more pens inked up than I usually have. A couple of these were special requests by my daughter, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But I thought I would go ahead and do a currently inked video before I cleaned some of these out. Now, normally I do my writing samples either on Tomoe River paper or Rhodia, but since I've got some nibs that are a little bit bigger than my fine and extra fine nibs, I thought I would go with the notebook that has a little bit larger ruling. Now, this is a notebook that came in my Endless Explorer that I got from Goulet Pens. Now, normally these traveler style notebooks from Endless are slightly smaller than A5 size, so they only really fit the notebooks that are made for them. But this one is a true A5 size, so I've got an actual A5 notebook in there, and I think this is a A5 slim, a couple of A5 slims, so you have some more flexibility. But I haven't really even used this notebook. I got it just right before I broke my wrist, so I haven't used it yet, but I have been using the notebook that came with it. I like it for testing my pens out. This is a storyboard notebook, and it's kind of nice. It says it's especially made for Goulet Pens, and it's got 80 GSM regalia paper, and it doesn't mention it here, but I'm pretty sure it's 7mm dot grid. So that's what I'm going to be doing my writing samples on. And I'm going to begin with my little roller ball that I got from Dave Dollar at the Arkansas Pen Show, because I've already tested it once in this notebook. And as I was using this for, different things that I needed a permanent black ink for, this roller ball ended up writing a bit too broad for what I was using it for. But as I have used it and as it's gotten down, I think there's no more ink basically in the converter. I think I don't know if this roller ball has a feed, but I'm just using ink that's up in the section. It's writing a little more to my liking, a little more fine, so I wanted to do a writing sample with it and compare. Maybe I'm just needing to try another type of ink in this pen. Let's go ahead and do a second writing sample. And I still have Noodler's Heart of Darkness in here. Yeah, you can see it's writing quite a bit drier than before. Still nice and smooth, very pleasant to write with. But you can see, if these were fountain pen nibs, it looks like this would probably be fine. This might be a medium. I really like the way it's writing here. But you can see I'm running, I was going to say very low on ink, but running out of ink. I may try one of my other Noodler's black inks. I need to do a little research maybe on YouTube, to see how you clean these rollerball sections. Next, I'm still writing with my second Magnolia Pen Company pen. This is the one that I got at the St. Louis Pen Show, and it has a fine black coated nib, and I've been using it a fair amount, but boy, I still have quite a bit of ink left. This seems to be kind of a dry-ish writing ink and nib combo. I don't know which one is causing the dryness, whether it's the nib or the ink or both, but it's really sipping the ink. This nib usually has a fair amount of feedback. It's not scratchy, but a fair amount of feedback on papers like Rhodia. But this Regalia paper just feels like satin. It's got a buttery smoothness. I really like it. Let's see. This is a Three Oysters ink. I've been a little ho-hum about this nib and ink combo. It's okay to write with, but it's not like outstanding. I'm not like dying to write with it. Except on this paper, this is really nice. And this ink, this purple gray, looks really good with, get my pen to focus on the pattern a little better. This ink and pen combo look really good together. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Next, I've got the Benu Tessera. I've really been enjoying the nib and ink combo I've got going here. It's been a real joy to journal with. This one has a Schmidt medium nib. I've got a Schmidt medium nib in my Visconti Mirage Mythos. That nib and this one are really wet writers. Now, when I got the Mythos, it was way too wet. I had to do some adjusting, but Benu seems to do a really good job tuning their nibs. This is really wet, but still pleasant. And this is Atasha ink. I think there's 2 Ks. Hokusai. Inasuchi. Really wet. And we'll have to see what this looks like when it dries. Man, this feels really gushy wet. Let me see what the reverse looks like. Oh, this is nice. Since I tend to prefer fine and extra fine nibs, and it's occasionally nice to write with a medium or a broad nib, but if I do have a medium or broad nib, I do appreciate it when it writes nicely in reverse. But this felt a little on the too wet side. We'll have to see what this looks like when it dries. Okay, now the next 2 pens were special requests by my youngest daughter. She got married this past week, and the first pen she was needing, she requested a nice pen to write her vows with. And I gave her a few pens to practice with. Actually, let me see. yeah, I gave her a few pens to practice with. And I think she just liked the look of this one. This is the Benu Tribute. This is the Darwin version. And this is an eye-catching pen. And she went through my book of writing samples. Originally, she said she was looking for like I think she said like a deep red. I know she was wanting a red ink. I think she was wanting something nice and rich and bold. I thought she was going to pick Herbin Rouge Granat. I mean, to me, that's just the most beautiful red ink. But before she got to Rouge Granat, she saw my writing sample of Diamine Polar Glow. And when she got to Rouge Granat, she was still stuck on Polar Glow. So that's what she ended up writing her vows with. Now, we'll see if we have any hard starts here. Polar Glow has a moderate sheen. And we did have some issues with some hard starts, but once you got it flowing, we didn't really have any skips. That wasn't bad. And I've been calling this a fine flex, but on the Benu's description of this pen, this is an elastic fine nib, and that is a better description, a more accurate name for this type of nib. And this does have a nice bit of softness to it. I like that. I know some people, I've had some people leave comments on videos of like my Pilot Fine nibs. They said they just can't stand writing with those because it's bouncy. They like that, you know, nail hard fountain pen nib. But I love the Pilot Fine nibs. I love that bounce, and I get that nice feeling with this nib also. Pretty wet. I didn't wipe the whole X, but you get the idea. Now this is an elastic fine, and this Benu Daily Mate was also, I called it a fine flex, but it's an elastic fine. And it looks like it wrote a bit more broad. And I could tell when I first started writing with this one. I had Hokusai Benasuchi in it, and it felt more fine. And then with this ink also, it feels more fine. It could have just been a difference in the ink, but I tried two different inks in this one also, but they were both kind of pale. I don't know. This one felt a bit more broad. I like this one that was a little bit more fine, but it wrote decently wet, and I suppose this one did too. It's hard to tell because that ink is so pale. Let me see. I think this one did not write in reverse as well. I think it's a bit drier. Yeah. Even when I had the Benasuchi in it. So regular is nice, reverse is too dry. This is a joy to write with, though. I really like that nib. And now this pen has sentimental value to it. My daughter may end up wanting this one someday. And finally, I've got my Lamy logo inked up with Diamine Writer's Blood. My daughter used this one to write her thank you notes with. We tried Writer's Blood in the Benu Tribute, but this elastic fine nib, with it being this wet, was just too wet for Writer's Blood. It's a wet ink too, and we test wrote on the thank you notes. They're not super fountain pen friendly, and we put a fine nib on this Lamy logo, and she really liked it. Oh, I've got a polar glow on that finger. Let me try that again. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit drier than some of these other nibs, but not bad. It's very pleasant. This is really pleasant. It's got a very faint chalky feedback to it. Really nice. I like that. I've also enjoyed, in the past, I've enjoyed writing with Yamabudo in this. Actually, Yamabudo, I think I wrote with the extra fine, but either one, really nice. All right, and one more bonus writing sample is a new pencil that I got. This is my first vintage Esterbrook pencil. It came with a pen that I purchased, an Esterbrook J transition pen. Now, I was kind of surprised where the fountain pens, the vintage Esterbrook fountain pens, are pretty light. The pencils are more narrow, but much more dense. They've got some heft to them. They feel really good in the hand. I was surprised. Now, this one uses 0.9 lead, and I think it appears to be HB. I tend to prefer 2B lead. I like it to write really dark. I like it to be nice and smooth. I know some people don't like the B leads because they tend to smear easier, but I don't really have a problem, smearing my lead. I like it to be really soft, but let's see how it writes on this regalia paper. Yeah, that's just a little too light, but the pencil does feel good in my hand. I had never really been interested in the Esterbrook pencils, but I'm glad I've got one, and I'm glad it's gray. It needs to be polished up a little bit. It's a little bit dull, but overall it's in good shape. I'll probably use this a fair amount. And the eraser is intact. It's hard and crusty, but at least it's there to keep the lead from falling out. And it's got the little, I don't want to pull that out, but it's got the little collar for putting a new eraser in. I don't know how hard it is to find the correct size, but oh, and another interesting thing about it, on modern pencils, the clutch is up inside the nose cone, and on these, the clutch is outside the nose cone. It's more like a lead holder for those, like the 2mm pencil leads. I'm not a pencil expert, so I don't know if this is something that's still common today. Not sure. And I forgot to do a writing sample with my favorite pen at the moment. I went to put the other pens away and saw that I had forgotten to get my Durell pens, the Naomi model, with a medium nib, medium stainless steel Bach nib. It's still inked up with Iroshizuku Syoro. I just think that's going to be the perfect ink for this pen. I may try a few others, but my experience with this has just been perfect. I'll do a writing sample real quick. I just love the feel of this nib on paper. I like a smooth, chalky feeling nib, especially in a wider size nib. Now, like a fine nib, a really fine and extra fine, I like those to be smooth, but in a medium, I like some feedback. It's just got the exact same chalky feeling in every direction. And I believe that's thanks to Kurt Spear from Pen Realm. I'm pretty sure he tunes all of Mr. Adolphus's nibs. And I smoothed out the reverse writing. I could tell when I tested it that the ink flow was really nice, but it was catching a little bit in one direction. So just a little bit of smoothing with some micro mesh. And man, that feels nice. I like the options I have now. That's a really nice fine nib. I just can't get over how pretty this pen is. These are my colors right here. This is the kind of pen I love journaling with. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but like I mentioned earlier, my youngest daughter just got married. The planning for this marriage was a lot quicker. I didn't have as long to plan as I did for my first daughter. But just like with my first daughter, when I'm under a little bit of stress, I don't really like to journal. I prefer to do the journaling after the fact, so I'm gonna have to re-ink this pen. Look at that. I'm just working with the ink in the feed right now. So I'm gonna re-ink this and start writing about the experience. Everything went really smoothly. We had an enjoyable time, and we're all really happy for my daughter and new son-in-law. All right, the one I am most curious about is the Tessera, and it looks okay. Instead of seeing mostly a halo, this Hokusai Benasuchi on the right paper has like a halo of darker ink, and at times like a halo of dark sheen. This, I'm seeing a little shading, like that splotchy shading like you see here with the Wearing Gold Daddy Long Legs. I wasn't really fond of how splotchy the ink looks. It looks a little bit splotchy here with the Benasuchi. Not quite as bad, but I think it tends to look better on like Rhodia paper or Leuchtturm. I really like it on the Leuchtturm paper. I think out of all of these on this Regalia paper, I really liked the Lamy. It felt nice and buttery smooth, and I like how dark and rich the ink is. But this is what I have been writing with, and I'm just keeping everything in my little Lockbee pen case. I've got my little narrow logo on the outside here. I have to be careful. I almost did it. My tribute is too big to fit in the pocket, so I've just been keeping it in here loose. I just have to be careful when I open my case, and I just carry this around in my purse. All right, if you found this video helpful or interesting, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.